they get further away. They don't get smaller.
UKP, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So your comment just now seems to indicate that you think that those mountains from our viewing point should be higher than the turbines. Is that what you're implying?
Depending on where you're standing, yes. Yeah.
Okay, give me 2 minutes to find something, Nate. Because I'm glad that he's actually brought that up. Just give me a couple of minutes to find something. I think that's it. Ah, yes, that's it. Right, let me reshare my screen. So we're going to go with logic now. So I'm assuming you're going to be a logical person. Yeah?
I'll try to be. Yeah.
Okay, right. That's good. That's great. So I want you to be logical and reasonable. And the distance to this mountain is 73.4 miles. And that mountain is called Carn Jerjoil. And Muluk Ua, which is this mountain here, is 73.5 miles away. Would you agree that essentially they're the same distance, 73.4 to 73.5? Hello?
Hi, I'm trying to see what you're.
Well, never mind the point. Just agree that if this is 73.5 and this is 73.4, essentially they're the same distance apart from my observer. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, and we have heights for these. We have this mountain here that's 73.5 miles away is 1,600 feet, and this mountain here, which is 73.4, is 1,411. Yeah, so there's a 200 foot, almost a 200 foot height difference between the two. So if I get a ruler, and we have a ruler here from 0 to 16, and we use the 16 as in 1,600 feet for the one on the right, and we scale it 1,600 feet to the one on the right and 1,411 to the one on the left. We now have a scaled ruler. So the ruler is now scaled correctly in proportion, seeing as these are the same distance apart. Yeah?
Yeah, I've seen that done before, yeah.
Okay, so if the ruler's now scaled correctly, and all we need now is to say, well, we've got it lined up for the 1,600 feet, lined up for the 1,411, then at what height are we seeing down to? What height would you say we are seeing down to? In feet, this is obviously that's 100 feet there. Would you say maybe 50 feet above sea level?
50.
Yeah,
About
so
50.
so when you consider there should be about 1,300 feet of curvature, yeah? So the 1,300 foot on curvature would mean that the horizon that we would be looking at is where my cursor is now. Would you agree that it's more of a flat earth proof or a ball earth proof, these particular images? In your model, I should only see down. In your model, I should only see down to 1,300 feet, which would be here. And yet, the reality shows us seeing.
Have a model.
Okay, well, the ball Earth model says that the horizon should be where my cursor is, and yet reality says that the horizon is way down here to the scaled ruler that says it's about 50 feet. Yeah? That's just a bit of logic and reason by running through these mountains. Now, I know you said that how come they look smaller in the distance, but we have the mountain ranges matched up here. We've matched them up.
Yeah.
We know their distances. This is those mountains.
So what is the 1,700?
Benny Y Fott, which is I don't know actually where that is. Let's have a look, see if I can find it. Benny, that will be over here. That's North Barul. Where's Benny? Benny Fort. There we go. Benny Fort is 74.5 miles away, much further. So that's why when I was trying to use mountain ranges that were the same distance away, 73.5 and 73.4, you couldn't really do Benny Fort because it's much further away. It's another mile, 1.1 miles further away. So the only two mountain ranges that are relatively close to each other from my position were these two mountain ranges here.
Right. So 73 miles away from your position.
Yep.
How many?
This one.
How many miles away from the nearest turbine?
Hang on. What's that got to do with anything? I'm just.
That
that
would show that would certainly show a drop, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you're still not understanding me, are you?
If it's dropping away, you go to the turbine.
I've really just been trying to do this very logically with you, and you seem to be forgetting the point I'm making. Which, if I know that this mountain range and this mountain range, I know their heights and distances, I can scale it with using a ruler, and to prove how much of this mountain range we're actually seeing down to. And we're seeing down to about 50 foot, which you conceded we were seeing down to about 50 foot. You only changed your mind when I said that 1,300 feet of the curve calc should be missing, and then decided to talk about the wind turbine.
Well, because the wind turbines are in between you and the mountains, aren't they?
And we see all of them. We see all of the wind turbines. There's nothing missing on these
I get
turbines.
the problem. I also get the problem. If the wind turbines are not at the same place as the mountain, then you cannot use them as a ruler.
They're not being used in this reference.
The turbines aren't. The turbines are not being used at all. The two mountain ranges are. The two mountain ranges that we have identified and know their distance, know their height, Carnju, Joel, and Mulach Oya, we know their heights and distances, and we can scale that to the peaks of each, and we can get a rough estimate of how far we're seeing down the mountain. We don't need to see any.
I'm sure you can get a calculation of the size of the turbines. So you use the turbine first.
Wait a minute. What's that got to do with this logic and reason that I asked you to go through before?
Because anything in the background of the turbines, whatever height the turbine's at, should be either below or the same or above.
No, I've just already explained. There's 3 to 4 different make and model of turbines in this one image.
Sorry, is your point literally the same? Hold on, I just want to ascertain what UKPI's point is.
I get that if you're looking at a 16,000 foot turbine, but I don't think you are.
Sorry, what's the point that you're making exactly? Is it literally the same as Miles Davis's, that if we exclude perspective, the mountains would remain higher than the turbines?
I don't think we're excluding perspective.
Oh, sorry. Oh, well, if you don't, well, maybe if I just say this to you, things get smaller with distance. Does that not make sense?
Things don't get smaller; they don't change in size.
Yes, in angular size they do. Didn't we have this conversation a few moments ago, and I corrected you then? Yes, they do change in size, angular size. Yes, they do change in size, angular size. Because it is further, the angular size is smaller. This obliterates your objection. Is there anything else, UKPI, about these turbines? Anything else you'd like to add that's nonsense, like Miles Davis has asserted? If we exclude perspective, yes, then the higher feet and inches value of the mountain would always be higher than the feet and inches value of the turbines. Unfortunately, the angular size of the mountain is smaller because it's further. Even though the feet and inches you use in your calculator remains the same. Is that clear, UKPI? Because I'll explain it again for a third time if it's not.